a difficult job because it's unappreciated. They don't get shown the love, and after a time, they say, I'm gonna take care of myself. But you've been out there, I guess, since you came out of the womb. This has been your office, the streets, especially the streets of Chicago. What keeps you pumped up? What keeps you going?
Well, let me preface with this, brother. 'Cause battle fatigue is real. Battle fatigue is real, and we highs and lows and the struggles. That's reality also. But the people, I don't want to sound cliches, but the people, serving the people. I guess how they say it in church, which was your calling. I believe this is my calling. But again, I don't want to romanticize it either, though. Because again, as Minister U.E.P. Nunes said, one of the most difficult jobs of fighting for the interest, fighting in the interest of the people. In some cases, the people are not even aware of their own interests. And whether different campaigns had a same system that's oppressing us, how Machiavellian it is, it continues to attempt to co-op our struggles, and it doesn't come in what people would look for in the conventional classifications. In other words, like people just want to say, elementary assessments such as just black and white, or good and bad people, so on and so forth. What the reality is, you got to be on, as we say, the path of Cubs. We use the term, so you got to be on a political pivot to be able to assess and not deal in absolutes, and also taking into account we can't afford the quote unquote luxury to even express our battle fatigue, because again you're out there with the people on the battlefield. A lot of times people are looking for you for that charge up. You got to be able to seek out the fertilizer that's in the nonsense. I'm gonna say that, what I'm saying. You got to seek it out. And again, not dealing in absolutes. Beyond with the politics to be moving to pivot. I mentioned the opening, the UEP Foundation is. We talk about these different events. We talk about the battle for the Hampton House, the historical landmark. Saving and maintaining Hampton House. Many people look at, that's a great move, but even the struggles we had, to get the history out with the movie Judas and Black Messiah, or just even basic day-to-day campaigns about, when someone is murdered by the police or dealing with the issues in the community, the battles for that precious into self-determinations, where if you don't cross the T's and dot the I's, and how the ruling, how the system will bring in others to, be the face of it or take credit. And it's not that you're ego tripping, but you're struggling to instill that pride in people that we are our own liberators, and it's draining in so many instances. You see how the state so they will come as soon as you cross the finish line in certain campaigns to hijack it, and you can never let your guards down. And so I can't I don't want to devalue the importance of a protracted struggle. It's not an incident. It's not a one night. It's not a one night stand. This is an ongoing relationship. Revolution is an ongoing relationship.
And I'm glad that you said it, because people sort of romanticize the revolution, and for you tell it like it's real.
It's real.
That's interesting.
It's real.
Yeah, it's real. But I want to go back to the movie, because you mentioned the movie Judas and the Black Messiah, and Daniel Kaluuya. Hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. It seems that movie has really left an impact on it, because even if the movie's over, he's still talking about your dad. Your thoughts?
Just seen something on social media, on Instagram, where Daniel Kaluuya, Dominique Fishback, and other members of the cast were together. And certain people, even members of the production company talked about they had never witnessed the ongoing relationship that that has been witnessed with the cast, producers, even down to people that handle the food on the set. The ongoing relationships. And it was even during the process of the filming. People they say it was standard For if a person shot their respective scene, they would go back to the trailer and not even be familiar about the other scenes that were being shot. But you saw people stay on the set. You know what I'm saying? Even
Right. And Jim and Fred, hold that thought right there, because we're going to take a short break. But yeah, tell us about the impact that movie had on some of the actors and the staff who was on that movie. You mentioned craft service for the people who serve the food, and you mentioned some of the other actors, not just Daniel Kaluuya, but other people involved in Judas and the Black Messiah. They're still talking about the movie. Usually when the movie's wrapped, they're through. They moved on to the next event, but they're still talking about that movie. So I want you to address that when we come back after the short break, 26 minutes away from the top of the hour. Folks, we'll be back in 4 minutes with Chairman Fred Hampton. You got a question for him? Reach out to us. We'll take your calls right here on 1010 WOLB in Baltimore, and also in the DMV on FM 95.9 and AM 1450 WOL, where information
free them all.
I'm David Polk Thomas. Here's the latest from News1.com. A new poll shows voter interest is at an all-time high before the midterm election. Trey Thomas reports.
The NBC News survey asked voters to rank their interest level in the midterms on a 0 to 10-point scale. More than 60% said their interest was at a 10. 57% also said this year's elections are more important than previous congressional elections. Other polls from the network found the economy is the top issue for voters. I'm Trey Thomas.
A man is dead following a fatal shooting outside of Nationals Park yesterday afternoon. Police responded to the 1500 block of South Capitol Street at about 1:15 p.m. and found a man suffering from gunshot wounds inside a vehicle. The victim was pronounced dead at the scene. His identity was not immediately released. Police are calling the shooting a targeted attack. A dark-colored SUV seen fleeing the scene. A barricade situation yesterday at Fort Belvoir in Fairfax County ends with a person being taken into custody. Police and a SWAT team, along with the FBI, responded to the scene around 8 a.m. The standoff lasting about 7 hours before the unidentified individual was taken into custody shortly before 3 p.m. There was no immediate word on what caused the situation. Vice President Kamala Harris surprising Howard University students at yesterday's homecoming. She took to the podium during service at the Andrew Rankin Memorial Chapel, calling her time as a student at Howard a special experience. In sports football action yesterday, a big win for the Commanders. They beat the Green Bay Packers 23-21 at FedEx. Taylor Heineke getting the start at quarterback for the injured Carson Wentz. He tossed 2 TD passes. I'm David Polk Thomas. When you're looking for news for Black America, go to News1.com.
Good morning. Traffic sponsored by Compassion International. Outer loop of the Beltway is a little slow from FedEx Field around towards New Carrollton and from New Hampshire Avenue to just before University Boulevard. Car broken down in the second lane from the left. You swing around him, you're okay over towards Georgia Avenue. You'll still see brake lights from Old Georgetown Road around towards River Road. Accident cleanup at Old Georgetown Road and just before River Road over on the shoulder, but those lanes are all open. Baltimore Washington Parkway, much improved down from Laurel. Accident at Riverdale has been moved out of the way. A little slow northbound at the Beltway. 50 East slows after 202 onto New York Avenue and Kenilworth Avenue. And some late delays westbound on 695 from the 11th Street Bridge heading over towards West Potomac Park. Cloudy today with a high of 63 expected. Cloudy tonight, low 59. It's 58 now at Reagan National. Families in poverty are facing a global food crisis. $50 provides a food kit to feed a family for a month. Just text the word radio to 97646. I'm Robert Workman for News Talk 1450 AM WOL, where information is power.
Hi, I'm Oprah Winfrey, and I want to tell you about Wes Moore, who's running to be the next governor of Maryland. When Wes was just 3 years old, his father died, leaving him and his sisters to be raised by his mom, a Jamaican immigrant. It was tough, but Wes overcame the odds to become the first Black Rhodes Scholar from Johns Hopkins University. He then led soldiers in combat as a captain in the U.S. Army and became the CEO of one of the nation's largest anti-poverty organizations. I'm supporting Wes because he is a transformational leader with the character, integrity, and backbone to tackle challenges with a sense of urgency. He is a coalition builder who has bold ideas to improve education, keep neighborhoods safe, and close the racial wealth gap. And he will leave no one behind. I hope you will vote for Wes Moore for governor. By authority, Moore Miller for Maryland Slate, Mary Tidings, treasurer.
America's top critics have spoken. Till is an exceptional movie with a perfect 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. Those pictures of your son change people's lives. Danielle Deadweiler's portrayal of Amy Till Mobley is a triumph. Both in no kind of shape to be seen, right?
He's in just the right shape.
It's a bold and lovingly told tale
He's so sexy. We have to.
that deserves your attention.
Either freedom for everyone or freedom fails.
Till, rated PG-13, may be inappropriate for children under 13. Now playing in select theaters everywhere Friday.
This message is sponsored content.
Real talk drives real change. This era calls for us to face the issues. In D.C., we tackled higher education and increased access for people of color, be it HBCU, PWI, or trade. That rich conversation is available on demand, along with ways you can give support or find help. Real talk drives real change, fully charged by Chevrolet. This was the first of 4 events. Mike Muse welcomed Dr. Ben Chavis, Martha Diaz, and Young Guru. See more. Visit change.news1.com.
Now back to the Carl Nelson Show.
Hey, good morning, family. 19 minutes away from the top of the hour with Chairman Fred Hampton. We'd like to speak to the chairman. Reach out to us at 800-450-7876. Before we do that, though, let me just remind you, coming later this weekend here from the University of Houston's Dr. Gerald Horn. You know, Dr. Horn takes us all over the world, and he'll answer any question that you got. Sports, entertainment, politics, law, he can do it all. Also, Power Talker, Dr. Leonard Jeffries will be here as well. So if you're in Baltimore, keep your radio locked on 1010 WOLB. If you're in the DMV, you're on FM 95.9 and AM 1450 WOL, where information is power. Well, that's what we're talking about. Kieran Trevor tells us about Judas and the Black Messiah, the movie about his dad. It was up for 6 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, by the way. And Daniel Kaluuya, who played your dad, I've seen in interviews after now promoting news shows, and he's still talking about Fred Hampton. He's just talking about Fred, your dad. He's still. That must have had that role must have had a serious effect on him. Your thoughts, Chairman? No
doubt about it. In fact, just for clarity, all due respect, he's talking about Chairman Fred Hampton, Brother Carl. If you notice, whether he be on sway, he be on the ruling class, he to this day, his respect for the title, the structure, it's you when he received his award. I mean in the objective analysis, he talked about the impact of the founders of the Black Panther Party, how they had on his life. He internalized it. Like it's a term that in the hip hop community, the rappers would say if they did a song or a lyric real good, they would say, "Man, that person they bodied it. They bodied it." He embodied it, and we missed a lot of deadlines, because this is something we with the politics of it, of the Panther Party, Politics of the Black Panther Party Cubs. We have a discussion. A lot of people want these these quick fixes. In fact, we say there are no cliff notes in Cub class. And we met at, we called for the meeting. This was unconventional. This was, many people, a lot of times it's, people here, they going to do a movie, and even the term consultant is real generic, just, have your name on there. But the day-to-day basis, being on a day-to-day basis, the struggles, where we met at, what terms, how the gun was held, how the body language, of the Panther Party. This is political. This is something that many people grasp, like they grasp the importance of the race question in a reactionary term. You know what I'm saying? Like people say, what's the big difference? Why you saying between Fred and Chairman? Oh, he ego tripping. No, no, no. Even the script, how we had to struggle for the title, you know what I'm saying, in the principal stand, the principal stands, not just on some abstract good and bad, but the politics, even if it may not benefit us as a person, as an individual, you know what I'm saying? Because the party line in basic mathematics is that the whole is greater than the part, and how that was, how discipline was dished out. You know what I'm saying? The body language. You know what I'm saying? How. How respect of structure, the terms, all that, even when there were internal, contradictions. How Chairman Fred in particular, how he related and respected democratic centralism. In other words, case he wouldn't just throw an individual out of an organization. You know what I'm saying? The process of it. You know what I'm saying? I tell people, I'm not a dictator. I'm honored to be chief theoretician of the Black Panther Party cause. I'm honored. I humble myself to so we respect that template, that prototype of the Black Panther Party. It's not wishy washy. We say a lot of people want to be black when it's beneficial, play Panther when it's profitable, come to claim Cub when it's comfortable. And in the heat of the battle, so under contested conditions, when we see the state raising up or creating counterfeit organizations, to attempt to hijack this legacy, people are able to go back and say, wait a minute, that's the real deal. You know what I'm saying? And as you said, you can see in interviews now, not only the cast, the impact. They played a number of different roles in a number of different movies. The people who delivered the food on the set. Matter of fact, you said the term. I forgot the term that how they referred to them on the movie set. It's actually
Craft services.
Craft services, and craft services. I mean, to this day, when you talk to them, you will hear them say chairman. You will hear them the politics. It's kind of like they say. It's a saying. They say people talk about relations. They say once you go black, you can't go back. Once you did the Black Panther Party, ain't no going back. It heightens contradictions. It may be dormant. You may have to, hold it back to, to move around in society. But once you touch it, it's there. It's there. It's there.
Yeah, let me jump here for a second, Chairman. 14 away from the top there. Another thing that Daniel said that it caused some people's eyes to pop open. He says he only dates black women. And do you think that was because of doing the movie, or was he always like that, or did he come to some sort of the realization about being black after playing your dad on screen? Because he got a lot of heat for it from people saying, you shouldn't say that. There's a certain group of people don't like to hear that kind of stuff from a black man. It's gonna impact your roles going forward. He says he didn't care. I just only date black women. And he doubled down on it. So I'm just wondering, was he always like that before he did the movie because you met him, or do you think the movie sort of inspired him to come out and vocally say that?
I think, the politics of the Panther Party in particular, politics in general, can never be assessed in absolutes. In other words, you have to, it's like, a meal, so you can't look at a certain meal and say, how did this get to this result? So was it just the ingredients? Who cooked it? When? How long was it in the oven? Also, to go past that, so we are impacted, by, our lineage, who we come from, our upbringing. These are different dynamics, and it's a time right now that the ante is being up. We have to come with more, more elementary assessments. I tell people a lot of times, organizing people, man, Chairman, could you talk to this person? And I say, listen, who are we talking about? What are we working with? Because my last name is Hampton, not Houdini. In other words, there's mind you, Chairman Fred Hampton, before he graduated from high school in 1966, the year the Black Panther Party was birthed. And there are stories that I hear about him as a child. I think the politics, what it does, it enables you to articulate the Panther Party politics in particular, and not be confined or restricted to some tactic that in many cases the ruling class comes at you with an absolute, you know what I'm saying? Like, okay, well, just because you said you have a love for black people, or you deal with black women, that it makes you some sort of it confines you to a definition that the ruling class has regulated you to, or you're racist or something like that. And that's just, one of the contradictions, a major contradiction with that is, you can look at other communities, you know, and you say, okay, wait a minute, if this is not seen as that in other respective communities, but in so many cases, instances with our people, it becomes devalued, or you know what I'm saying. We have to come with reactionary responses. You know what I'm saying, just for simply saying you have a love for the people. And ironically, that's you look throughout history. You know what I'm saying. When you talk about terms like, you know, when you hear terms like Black Power, you know, African, you know, people, we worked in harmony with nature, you know what I'm saying, with other nationalities. You know, we done trade with other communities, you know what I'm saying, without becoming antagonistic. The Black Panther Party's programs, survival programs, you look at actually some of the pictures, and you will see different nationalities coming to eat. And it's not to say that you have a love for your people. It does not, you know what I'm saying. But in many cases, other schools of thoughts, they you know what I'm saying, are able to force you into this regulate you into just this dynamic, you know what I'm saying, of a reactionary response. But again, back to go to the heart of the question. There, you know, even psychiatrists would say, like, you know, like even just like how you impacted by, you know, your how you look at your mother, how you deal with your father. These images impact you. You know what I'm saying. You can see. You know, even again when he received the award, you can see the long-standing relationship and respect for his mother, for his sister. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Again, so many cases we're told that's some sort of bad thing, or you know what I'm saying, that one comes at the expense of another. And I mean, to identify what you're saying, to identify with yourself, you know what I'm saying, and even in animals, with nature, you would say, okay, for an animal to identify, to click, you know what I'm saying, to see that, to click right in with that, it's not a bad thing. But again, the politics provides an ability to articulate that, and not, you know what I'm saying, you know, to say, okay, no, this is how I feel, this is how I relate, whatever, you know, how you feel, and to take into account, to humble yourself, say, I'm impacted by my conditions or lack of conditions. You know, it's where I grew up. You know what I'm saying? My lineage. This is something that the oppressor utilized even during the era of chattel slavery, when they kidnapped us from Africa, when they kidnapped us, you know, who they placed on the tobacco fields, who they placed on the cotton fields. You know what I'm saying? The breeding process. When they wanted a desire today. Many of these athletes and many people, they're subjected to really arranged relationship. They may think that they met somebody on their own volition. The system thinks your impact when the poachers, when they kill gorillas, you know what I'm saying, in the Congo, they will strategically have, when that baby gorilla opens his eyes, that baby gorilla, its first sight is that white hand putting that milk in that baby gorilla's mouth. So that gorilla looks up to it. That's this definition of, you know what I'm saying, it's a subjective reactionary assessment to say, wait, well, that's who my first sign of life is. A lot of these, but some people, you know what I'm saying, Daniel Kaluuya, you can see the lineage, you know what I'm saying, you know what I'm saying, the connection that's there. Even our conversations, if you recall, even early on, before the movie was even released, there was a lot of struggles. People tried to deal with absolutes about him being from Uganda, you know, saying colonized, growing up in London. You know, the whole the discussion was, you know, people say, well, you know, you're not from the States, so on and so forth. And we heighten the contradiction. We welcome that conversation. We say, come on with it. Because this politics, again, not to seem subjective, this Panther politics in particular, it transcends geographical, gender, and generational lines. In other words, you can't come run certain walks of life. You get caught up. You say, well, this is just for women, just for men. Certain walks, some schools of thought, you say, well, this is just for the older, this is for the elder, this is for the youth. The party politics, it ups the ante. Whether you be in the Congo or Chicago, It highlights the contradiction to be addressed, the race and the class contradiction, amongst other things, and it's ever developing. It's putting things in context. And so we even found out he has relatives in Chicago, even his conditions growing up. We were able to bring him out because, again, you look at certain, when I was just coming in town, I said, damn, the airports everywhere are changing. They've been changed. I say this. I mean, it's like overnight. So I said, this is not something that just happened in Oakland or Chicago or Detroit or Philadelphia. There's some national agenda, some national plan going down. We have to look at when we're being colonized. There are certain consistencies wherever we colonize that. You know what I'm saying? And again, to be able to find that point of unity, and you say, wait a minute, how is it that Daniel Kaluuya, in Uganda, coming in London, how was he able to relate more to Chairman Fred as opposed to say?
Right. Hold that thought right there, Chairman.
All right.
We're going to take a quick break here, check the traffic and weather in both our cities, and we'll pick it up on the other side. 6 minutes away from the top of the hour with Chairman Fred Hampton. Folks, if you want to join this discussion, reach out to us at 800-450-7876. We'll take your phone calls in 4 minutes right here on 1010 WOLB in Baltimore, and the GMV. We're on FM 95.9, AM 1450, WOL, where information is power.
Traffic sponsored by Compassion International. Lead delays northbound Baltimore Washington Parkway from 197 up towards 198. I think we might have had a problem near Fort Meade for a few minutes. That's been resolved now. On the outer loop of the Beltway going through Silver Spring, disabled vehicle at University Boulevard, relocated to the right shoulder. Still some delays coming over from I-95, but your lanes are open. So still slow from Old Georgetown Road around the big curve as well. Inner loop of the Beltway, slow from 95 past the Greenbelt Metro Station. 50 John Hanson Highway and the BW Parkway inside the Beltway are both clearing out, as is the Woodrow Wilson Bridge. Just a little slow left over near 210 and 295. Cloudy skies today with a high of 63. Cloudy tonight with a low of 59. It's 58 now at Reagan National. Drought, war, and rising food prices have devastated families in poverty. $50 to provide some food kits to feed a family for a month. Just text the word radio to 97646. I'm Robert Workman for News Talk 1450 AM WOL, where information is power.
We don't want you on our team. You're too slow and fat.
This is weight bias.
I'm worried about your weight.
Don't you care what other people think?
Millions who live and are affected by obesity face weight bias every day.
You're not the right fit for this job.
Unfair judgment by others.
Just stop eating so much and exercise some. You lose all this weight.
These people often blame themselves.
It's just me. Nobody likes me.
I do exercise and eat right. And I talk to my doctor.
Weight bias hurts.
Everyone deserves to be treated with dignity and respect.
Your words and actions matter.
Let's stop weight bias.
Let's work together.
Be part of the solution. Go to stopweightbias.com and learn more. A public service message from Obesity Action Coalition.
Are you 45 or older? Then listen up. The time is now to get yourself screened for colon cancer. The time is now to take control. Listen, this disease can be very treatable when caught early, so the sooner you know what's up with your health, the better. The good news is that there are options for getting screened that are easier than you think. Get informed. Hey, we're all busy, and we think, I'll make time later. Well, make time now. It just might mean more time with your family down the road. If you're a man or a woman, 45 or older, I'm talking to you. Many of us have lost friends, young friends, to colon cancer. Don't make the mistake of waiting until you have symptoms or think that you have no risk because it doesn't run in your family. Everybody needs to be screened. So, take control. Get screened for colon cancer, 45 or older. Learn how at standuptocancer.org/colon-cancer.
Furnished by Stand Up to Cancer. Right now, our country feels divided, but there's a place where people are coming together.
I gotta tell you, I was nervous to talk to someone so different than me.
Me too, but I'm glad we are.
Love Has No Labels and One Small Step are helping people with different political views, beliefs, and life experiences come together through conversation, and it feels good.
Wow, your story is so
Interesting?
yeah.
When people actually sit down, talk, and listen to one another, they can break down boundaries and connect as human beings. At lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep, you can listen to amazing, life-changing conversations and find simple tools to start a conversation of your own.
I know one thing. This conversation gives
Free
me
my
hope.
free, free my, Brother James. Yeah. They got me early this morning.
Our country and your
Yeah,
community
they switched to
together
early
by having
morning.
the courage to start a conversation at lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep. A message from StoryCorps, Love Has No Labels, and the Ad Council. This place has a pulse.
I ain't woke up. I can't find no coffee. I haven't even really woke up yet.
Ground. Life, fully illuminated, engulfs you. From the birds singing in the treetops above to the tiniest insects in the soil below, you take a deep, cleansing breath, filling your lungs with the essence of the forest. Now, imagine it's all gone. Healthy, life-giving forests reduced to nothing. No singing birds, no lush canopy, and water and food in short supply around the world. Time is running out to protect our forests, and without our love, they can and will disappear. It's our choice. Love it or lose it. Help protect our forests. Visit World Wildlife Fund at wwf.org/love.
WOL, Washington, D.C. W240DJ, Washington. 95.9. WMMJ, HD3, Bethesda. WKYS, HD3, Washington. WPRS, HD3, Waldorf, and worldwide at WOLDZnews.com. The views and opinions of the following show do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of News Talk 1450 WOL, Radio 1 Incorporated, or their management. The Carl Nelson Show. All right, let's go.
You can. You let people know we on here too. Let people know we on Carl Nelson Show. Let people know
with Chairman Fred is our guest, and Chairman Fred, I mentioned that Daniel Cleo said that he only dated black women, and I was corrected in saying it's John Boyega is the guy who actually said that he only dates black women. But, having said that, though, the fact that Daniel and both John, Africans, from the UK, which I didn't know that Daniel's roots were in Uganda. Because we have two groups going around and trying to divide us from our brothers and sisters from the continent. They were upset that Daniel was chosen to play your dad. Your thoughts on that? Did you have any? Did you care whether or not he was he wasn't from Chicago or from New Orleans or could trace his roots all the way back to Columbia, whatever? Your thoughts?
Well, let me say this too with that clarification. What you said about the statement about John. Make sure I was correct, saying his name correctly. Noriega. Whoever I try to be as objective as I can. So like I said, I'm real careful with quotes when people say someone, especially I see how I can be misquoted. But I was trying to give I attempt to never. Like people ask me, what do you think about this person? I attempt to be as objective as possible. And I was going to say this too in regards to, because again, there are certain things that certain assessments that it's a general fit. You don't need no tailor-made suit for it. And I was going to say this also. So I don't know what like we don't want to minimize this into like who dates who. So, but again, how I was trying to go to the heart of how you view black men, how you view black women. In many cases, it does not. Like I said, we come from a society. Sheikh Anta Diop talked about, like in Africa. I'm talking about African people in particular, where it doesn't. We can work in harmony. um, with nature. Like I use an example. Like we able to hop on an elephant in Kenya and ride where it's going and get off the elephant, and the elephant, you know, what I'm saying no one is being exploited, so on and so forth. And even the race question, how you know, what I'm saying which the U.S. in particular, how they exploit that because this race is another one tool used by capitalism. But I was going to give an example about there was an interview with Daniel Kaluuya, and they were commenting about his skin, and he was talking about how you talking about how, you know how the vigor, the life, you know, in the skin, and he was talking about how he had some skin issues before, and his mother had made this ointment, and you know what I'm saying, how she it wasn't eczema, it was something, but how she you know, and how she you know, and he still uses it to this day. And I don't, you know, I say a lot of times we try to devalue how we view, you know, like, you know, and whether we act it out or not, but these are dynamics that, you know, that impact us, you know, say in our life, you know, so our experiences, you know, certain smells of certain foods being cooked, um, I'm still, I mean, I'm still impacted. Like, you know, the time I was locked up in prison, the smell of a ramen noodle. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and so you as an adult, I tell people you cannot negate that. So that's why I really want to put that in the context with that. I usually would say, hold on, I'm real, because I done seen them quotes go, you know what I'm saying, get twisted up and everything, but there are certain general assessments. So I think we should, like, even, I tell people, like, even when talk to people about dogs, they would actually ask you the lineage of like the dogs. Were have you asked me whether this is a German or American Rottweiler? I said, wow, I never seen that type of insight. With, you know, so when it comes to like taking to account our people, and it's not absolute. Like you see a dog, it's not just who trained it. You know what I'm saying, where, you know what I'm saying, where it went to school at. It's also the lineage, the experiences. Was this dog abused? Was this dog, you know what I'm saying, even with cars, they're talking about the amount of automobiles that are in Chicago, in particular, are coming from Hurricane Ian, and so then take into account the water damage. So I just want to just say that too, with a general assessment, you know, so it's not never, you know, because this politics is, for all practical purposes, whether it be in prison, church, school, uh, um, different individuals, there's certain generalities. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying, because a lot of times you say you have what you call pulpit politics, you have prison politics, you have street politics, but this path of politics, if you look at it, it's, you know what I'm saying, it pretty much can fit. Oh,
And the sixth answer to the top there, Chairman said, how can we use this information, because you work with our young people, the Black Panther Clubs, how can we use it to get to them to sort of broaden their horizon? Because many of the times our young people, and we were young too, we thought the world revolved around our blocks, around our quote-unquote neighborhoods. But there's a whole world out here, and the world has become much smaller because of the internet. How can we reach our young people? And this is something that you do, because your office is actually the streets of Chicago. And I'm just looking at some figures here. They do this every weekend, every Monday. They put out a report out of Chicago. 50 people shot over the weekend, 10 fatalities. And that seems to be the norm in your city. How can we reach our young people so they're not hating on each other?
Meet them where they at. You know, we say the streets of our office. I was speaking yesterday at the statue, the bust where Chairman Fred is at in Maywood, and these, you know, and the commonality that we had was that, you know, this sister, her twin sister, Dee Dee Daniela, I can't recall her last name. Her twin sister was murdered in Maywood, and I was, you know, you had different elected officials there, and I was a guest speaker, and you know, and we definitely opened the door about my father being assassinated, and so, but we found certain commonality about, you know, the pain of losing loved ones, so on and so forth. And once the conversation opened up, we politicized. I took, you know, step by step, the conditions in our community, so on and so forth. And the young sisters were saying, "Oh, we want." I said, "Y'all haven't seen the movie Judas and the Black Messiah?" They said, "Oh no." I said, "Well, I can't continue this conversation with y'all." So we back and forth. We joked, and I said, "Okay, wait a minute." I said, They said, "We not from here. We from the West Side." I said, "Well, you really supposed to know. You from the West Side." I said, "You know where Madison in California is at? You know the wall, the mural?" And the one sister, her twin sister, said, "Yeah, that's your shirt." And the shirt I had on is Chairman Fred's face emblazoned on it. And the wall is something that they can relate to. It sticks in their mind. You know what I'm saying? And that opened the door for certain. You know what I'm saying? Now they come into the Hampton House for a tour. You know, we have more and more discussions now. So this just happened yesterday. So so you gonna meet with the people where they at, and also have your ear to the ground. These sisters are committed already, and I learned from them. I asked them, say, how old are y'all? They said 19, 20. I said, listen, I need y'all. We doing this campaign. We engage, and I'm trying to get out of. I said, y'all familiar with DC Young Fly, 85 South Chico, being college? Yeah. So they said, we remember you being on there. So right now in Stateville Prison, and we're fighting about, you know what I'm saying, literally no water. So the Cassandra Greer, who should be joining us shortly, her and others, Dr. LaShawn and others, have literally been taking water to the prison. I don't know if the listeners heard me. Taking water for the prisoners. They have no soap. So we work with the indigenous community, the Tiny House Warriors right now, about getting soap brought to take, you know what I'm saying? And this is something we tying in with the contributions by Mississippi. And we in the stage of the game where people, you know what I'm saying, you have these different rappers, Young Jeezy and them, doing these commercials about their own brand of water. And you, at the same time, you have people without water. You feel what I'm saying? And so we up in ante. So them young sisters are having this conversation. We're finna get, like, it's a big thing on social media called a challenge. So they only help us put together something that the young people can relate to in particular about this challenge to these different rappers. How much water you doing in the Stateville, Mississippi, so on and so forth. We know what I'm saying? They're gonna help work with to get like a social media momentum going about heightening contradiction about this issue in Stateville Prison in Illinois not having water. And so that's how we do. I told the one sister, she said, "Wait a minute, my brother is in Stateville." Listen, she said they can't drink no water. They can't. She said they can't wash themselves. She said, "Damn." And her brother is in Stateville. She didn't know this. She said, "I want to be involved with this." This all happened. I'm not talking about no long. This happened yesterday, literally. This all came from an event.
And how well known is this, Chairman, that there's no water in that facility?
The people on the ground know, but a lot of times people don't talk about it, they dismiss it. People say they have a mental block, they can't believe it, you know what I'm saying? So it's like I said, this sister, her brother's there. And when I said it, she said, well, a lot of times, it's just hard to get, a lot of times you can't get the word out, your phone get cut off if you speak about it. You know what I'm saying? So similar to like sickle cell anemia during the heyday of the Black Panther Party. The black people were the most impacted by it. However, people say don't talk about that. The Black Panther Party to the revolutionary leap to say, wait a minute, let's assess this, let's address this. You know what I'm saying? The free testing for sickle cell anemia, they dealt with it because it's happening to us in the prison. You know what I'm saying? People say, well, you know, a lot of times we wait for the ruling class to say, okay, now you can speak about it. We on the ground. We can't afford the luxury to wait for the state to say, okay, now you can speak about it. So it's known but unknown.
So what can people do, Chairman Fred? Can people or our listeners, can they help you get water?
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Yes, we have drop-off sites for cases of water here at the Hampton House. Go to Cassandra Greer Facebook page. Dr. LaShawn, go to her Facebook page. Go to contact us at the Hampton House. See how you can get, you know what I'm saying, donate to the, again, get actual water, or even resources. Again, go to Cassandra. That's a campaign in particular she's been on top of. We got different, just get another location to actually get the water to, so when we deliver it. So go to her, Cassandra Greer. She should be joining us shortly. Cassandra Greer, her page for the water.
All right. 800-450-7876. Charlie's joining us, and he's calling from Philly. Got a question for you, Chairman. He's on line one. Charlie, you're on with Chairman Fred.
Hello?
Yeah, you're on the air.
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah. Good morning, Brother Quasey. And to you, Brother Chairman Fred Hampton James.
Good morning, brother.
Due respect, brother.
Good morning. Good morning. Respect to you too, brother.
I wanted to ask a question. First question about, is your mother still doing poetry? Because I saw in the movie that she was writing poetry. wondering if she still writes poetry and writing books. That's the first question. Now, the second question, we found out that at the time of Malcolm's death, there were 2,223 FBI and CIA agents inside the nation. Do we have a number, or does that make organization impossible? Because if that many was in the nation, we know at least it had to be about 5,000 to 10 inside of the Black Panther Party movement. So I'm wondering, what's your opinion on that?
Right on. Right on for the question, but yes, I'm trying to right on for the question. I'm plugging this charger up to my phone. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, we can hear
Okay. The first question. Actually, that was ironically, that was one of the struggles we had on a movie set. Because actually, she had, when she approached Chairman about the poetry, and, I'm paraphrasing, Chairman's position was that, if it ain't benefiting the struggle, keep in context the map, this the state at the time we're talking about too, and also keep in context a lot of times the struggles in certain peers, the struggles in certain peers of the struggle, where the dynamic of artists and actual, being a revolutionary, the different dynamics that go along with it, and how, in some instances, the state has utilized the dynamic, the phenomena, or whether it be the streets, or whether it be
And Chairman, hold that thought right there. We're going to take another quick break here, check the traffic and the weather in our different cities. When we come back, I'll let you finish responding to Charles' question about your mom and the poetry
Okay.
that we saw in the movie. Folks, you want to speak to Chairman Fred Hampton, reach out to us at 800-450-7876 at 16 minutes after the hour. We'll be back in 4 minutes with the Chairman right here on 1010 WOLB in Baltimore, in the DMV. We're on FM 95.9 AM 1450 WOL, where information is power.
Show.
How you doing again, Frank? Thanks for going to this part of the It's only 22 minutes after the top of the hour. Jim and Fred Hampton, a call from Philly. Charlie in Philly wanted to know about, his first question was about your mom and her poetry. She still doing poetry, and then you're about to respond to that. And then he had a question about the agents involved in the Black Panther Party, because he was reporting that more than 2,000 FBI and CIA agents who were in the nation. So I'll let you first respond about your mom and the poetry.
What was I? Oh, I was saying, yeah. Ironically, in actuality, that she had yield. Just I don't want to say give it up, but I don't want to say that term, but that time you put, if you can, put in context at that time. And I was giving a historical analysis about how in certain periods of time you have where different, whether we're talking about the street dynamic, the streets, or even an artist, can be used as a contending factor against the movement. Like, I mean, if you go back and look at like some of the struggles that with Harlem Renaissance and the Garvey, the UNI, the Garvey movement at the time, and in certain states we are able to wed or able to say to be able to utilize it as revolutionary acts. It's a different type, as I say, as we say, the revolutionary times. It's a different sort of artist, a different sort of relationship, a different sort of athlete. You know what I'm saying? And that was one of the struggles we had, and I think that's something that I get with my poetry. Like I said, I go back to our conversation earlier. Certain things that you may not know where it comes from. My love for poetry, I know, I'm sure that from her, and with my sister Dominique Fishback, who did a phenomenal job. You know what I'm saying, portraying Deborah Johnson. She, you know what I'm saying, her thing with poet, you know what I'm saying, she's a phenomenal poet also. So that was some struggles we had initially, but it was something we were able to bridge, tie in with, you know what I'm saying, with that. But to answer the question, I don't, I would, now that you mentioned it, I think we're gonna have that conversation. You know what I'm saying? Me, I might write some poems or something. You know what I'm saying? But that time, it was a time of sacrifice. You know what I'm saying? And that's that also should be acknowledged with a lot of these forces. Because I say about myself, I don't know where I would be. Well, actually, on Chairman Fred's tombstone, I get this. I said it. I get this quote from him on his tombstone. Had my people been free, I don't know what I'd be doing. And many people, you don't know what, you know what I'm saying, they really put their ambitions on hold. You know what I'm saying? And you know what I'm saying. I mean, this is in context of relationships, things you like to do. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, to really sacrifice for the struggle, and that really goes. They say Chairman Fred at one point was going to be a lawyer, you know what I'm saying? But at the revolutionary times, these forces actually committed full force with that. And that was the first question. Remind me, Brother Carl, what was the second question again?
The second question was, he mentioned that the agents that were involved.
Oh, yes. Got you.
Played out in the movie. He says there are more 2,000 agents
Got
in
you.
the nation. And it's been documented. So, I guess I think I'm maybe asking for a figure, a number, or we're concerned about the agents that are in the Black Panther Party.
During certain periods of times, in particular reactionary times, when there's, you know what I'm saying, one of America's policies is to create chaos and then restore order. When you have struggles like this, like people say, well, I'm against structure. You know what I'm saying? There is even that impacts even how agent provocateurs are even identified. So that you have a lot of so many. I see some people should actually call and get some back pay for their role as being agent provocateurs, because they not know if they classified or not. And the movie showed you how O'Neal his actual contact with was Johnson, Marlon Johnson, in actual meetings in that in a capacity of being an agent provocateur. But there are so many instances of people who are on payroll, and then they without a structure. You have cases like it was a case in Haiti some years back where individuals in jail in Miami, Florida, and they was showing him, the CIA was showing him how long he'd been working for them. He didn't even know it. They showed him the dates, and they said, "You remember this day this lady approached you, and she said, well, you're a better speaker than Aristide. Why aren't you the spokesperson?" And he was like, "Yeah." And how he exploited his ego and opportunism, and it was showing him the timeline. He didn't even know it. There's, one of the guys told his other guys be protesting with us. He said, "Man, you ever notice every time you be out here with us, it's a certain look. A lady walk up on you and she has a sharp car. It's a different woman every time." And the guy said, "Yeah." And we laughed about it, but the guy, he never put in the context how they would, how he was being utilized, and as I say, also say at certain stages, liberalism can become criminalism. Liberalism can become criminalism. Some people try to say, well, I just want to, straddle the fence. I don't want to say nothing. I don't hurt nobody's feelings. And saying that's something that the state exploits also. At some point, you have to take a position. But we are constantly, so to answer the question, I can't give you a number. I can't tell you many times that, we've been infiltrated, agent provocateurs, slander, you name it, and some by nefarious intent, some naive, don't even know the damage they're doing, and then they won't even care, and you know what I'm saying. So I think it's to heighten the contradictions to get some clarity, because I say foreign territory versus the enemy territory, to get some clarity on who is who.
All right, 28 minutes at the top. I got a tweet for you, Chairman. The tweeter says, "How does Chairman Fred feel about the Huey P. Newton Gun Club and the Geronimo Pratt Gun Club marching in Austin, Texas, to the State House with guns and saying, 'Close the border, send them home, build a wall'?" He said this happened just a month ago.
I can't speak. I know there's a lot of discussion going on, like, a lot of different organizations, and I'm not familiar with, to be honest with you, I'm not even familiar with all of the different organizations that's appearing, but and I wasn't familiar with this position being taken with, so I can't, I tell you, I can't speak, because it's ever developing. It kind of go back to, I say, like, clarity. I'm real big about structure. I'm real big about, about crossing T's and dot the I's, who is what organizational ideology. And a lot of times people would say, well, it's just good that we all have this going on. And then, because some young lady had wrote me one time, wrote us, and she was saying, well, I donated to this group called the Fred Hampton Club. I said, what? She said, well, I didn't. I said, why are you calling us now? I said, that's not us. And so, and it's not, I say, the blanket approach on all the individuals. I say, but I can't speak for the political lines. Saying different organizations. This that's something in our community that many of, throughout my travels, I've been different places, and I've seen people say, well, I don't know the respective line of different things. A lot of people want to put the buggy after the horse. In other words, say, well, let's roll with this, and then they'll say, well, let's deal with the politics in that later. It's like relationships. Some people say, well, let's just let's go to bed first. Let's do this and that. Then they find out who you are later on. Then so they find out who you are later. Well, what do you think about this? Then it's not a new phenomenon. This is during the heyday of the Black Panther Party. So a lot of people say, well, I'm gonna do this, do my own thing. And then when certain issues will come up, they say, what's the party's position? Wait a minute, I tell people the party got the Black Panther Party not only did not get credit for a lot of things they did do, it was accredited for the position that it did take. So I'm not familiar with what and our line is it's one of the philosophical tools that we relate to is dialectical materialism. We assess the situation and move accordingly. But yeah, I can't. This is a hell of a period of time where things are moving fast, ever developing, and it's pros and cons. Like I said, you have the social media, what I'm saying, and then like sometimes I can be careful, because a lot of times you say, okay, because you can't only keep up, like I say, groups popping up. I say we have to, the people have to develop their political muscle also to have checks and balances. And say, wait a minute, let me see. Like just have a thing with street organization. They say, okay, who sanctioned this? Where does this come from? What's the so on and so forth.
Yeah, that's a good point. 28 away from the top. Yeah, because people don't do their research. They just go out there and say things. But I thank you for your response, and thanks for the tweet, the question from our tweet. But Jim and Fred, working with our young people now, what are they telling you that's most on their minds? What is the issue? Because people are on the outside and seeing them, and we'll just say, some people just say it's just self-hate. They don't know themselves. That's why they're attacking each other. How do you see it? What are they telling you?
It's touch and go. It's what I'm saying. Like I said, it's a process of just hiding the contradictions, get people to talk, to actually have conversations about it, because this system is a master of distractions. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we can be going through a situation, like literally, police murder someone in our family, or so we get evicted, or as I said, the sister yesterday, her brothers in Stateville. Then you're being bombarded with what's happening on TikTok. What's who's naked on social media. What are the Kardashians doing? So it's this is, so again, so it's not that easy just to assess. It's a consistency of connecting the dots. Because again, this U.S. imperialism in particular is very Machiavellian. With us getting our priorities confused. I recall being in the infamous Cook County Jail, and I recall this was back when what was it? The soap operas was a phenomenon. And I recall coming back from court, and these guys talking about, I forgot this soap, some famous cast member on the soap. Mind you, this was people of a certain age. Remember, like this like all the daytime TV shows, and had a certain look on the TV, a certain. I really could never even identify with it, but all white characters. You have a few black characters here and there, and there was something going on. Someone had a case or something. And these guys on the deck on Cook County Jail, I remember this, and they were talking about this case. And I was like, I said, wait a minute, what the division I was in, people was facing serious time. They're facing murder cases and so on, and no one was talking about their own case. So, that's how we look for relief. We look for outlets to deal with this situation. And so the vanguard has to be consistent on trying to heighten these contradictions, because it's embarrassing being oppressed. And so,
Hold that thought right there.
yeah.
That's a hell of a statement. It's embarrassing being oppressed. 26 minutes away from the top of the hour, Chairman Fred Hampton. Folks, we're going to take a short break, take our last look at the news, traffic, and weather in our different cities. If you want to join this conversation, reach out to us at 800-450-7876. Speaking to the Chairman, we'll take your calls in 4 minutes right here on 1010 WOLB in Baltimore. And the DMV, we're on FM 95.9 and AM 1450 WOL, where information is power.
Good morning. I'm David Folk Thomas. Here's the latest from NewsOne.com. Author Salman Rushdie's permanent injuries from an attack in upstate New York are being revealed. Jennifer Polzoni reports.
2 months after Salman Rushdie was stabbed at a literary event at the Chautauqua Institute in Western New York, his agent says the famous novelist has permanently lost sight in one eye and the use of one of his hands. He's also still recovering from serious wounds to the neck, chest, and stomach. The 24-year-old Fairview, New Jersey man stars in the August attack. He remains behind bars, pleading not guilty to attempted murder charges. Rushdie spent nearly a decade in hiding after the former leader of Iran called for his death over a controversial novel. I'm Jennifer Bolsoni.
D.C. police arresting 2 men in connection to an attack on a woman on a Metro bus last week. The victim says it all started after she addressed a group of people on the bus about their foul language. A $1,000 reward is being offered yesterday, a big win for the Commanders. They beat the Green Bay Packers 23-21 at FedEx. Taylor Heineke getting the start at quarterback for the injured Carson Wentz. Heineke tossing 2 touchdown passes. In Baltimore, the Ravens beating the Browns 23-20 at M&T Bank. In baseball, the World Series is now set. The Phillies beating the Padres yesterday 4-3 in Philly to win the NLCS in 5 games. Meanwhile, in the Bronx, the Astros completing a 4-game sweep of the Yankees with a 6-5 win. Game 1 of the World Series will be Friday night in Houston. I'm David Folk Thomas. When you're looking for news for Black America, go to news1.com.
Good morning, WOL Traffic Update, sponsored by Compassion International. On DC 295, you're slow as you enter the district from just after Eastern Avenue. Down to Pennsylvania Avenue, nothing in the way though. Northbound on 295, a little slow as you pass East Capitol Street up toward Benning Road. Allentown Road in Camp Springs, just south of Temple Hill Road, was an accident at Kane Drive, northwest DC. Accident activity 16th and Key Street, with police still there on the scene. Drought, war, and rising food prices. Devastated families in poverty, $50 provides a food kit to feed a family for a month. Just text the word radio to 97646. Now your WOL weather forecast. Cloudy today, maybe a shower high near 66. Clouds overnight down to 58. But tomorrow becoming mostly sunny and a high around 70 degrees right now, Washington, D.C. Cloudy and 57 degrees. Steve Hirschhorn, 4 News Talk, 1450 AM WOL, where information is power.
Hello, I'm Fred Hill, and I'm asking for your vote on November 8th for an at-large seat on the D.C. City Council. I'm running as an independent, as a voice for positive change and innovation. There are 2 at-large council seats in this election. One of those seats must go to an independent or minority party. You can vote for 2 candidates. Please make one a vote for me. Fred Hill for Council at Large. Paid for by Fred Hill for Council at Large, Janice Vieira, Treasurer. Hey, I'm about enjoying the good things in life. Success, family, legacy. But y'all know too well that you cannot have any other good thing if you don't have your health. Did you know that black men are 2 times more likely to die from prostate cancer than most other men? In fact, 1 in 6 black men will get prostate cancer in their lifetime. That's why it's important that we talk with our friends, talk with our family, and talk with our doctors about getting screened starting in our early 40s. When it comes to prostate health, we got to talk that talk to make sure that we're here tomorrow to enjoy what we built today. And listen, there are misconceptions out there about getting screened. So you do realize that it can start with a simple blood test. Sometimes that's all it takes to catch an early sign. So get the facts. Talk that talk and protect your prostate health by visiting talkthattalkpc.com to get started. Paid for by Janssen Biotech Incorporated.
What I know about courage, I learned from my adoptive mom. She said sometimes you just gotta hold on and know we'll get through this. Mom, we are so high up. Hold my hand. No, you hold my hand. Here we go.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more. This message is brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Now back to the Carl Nelson Show.
Good morning, dear family. 19 minutes away from the top of the hour. Thank you for starting your week with us. I guess it's Chairman Fred Hampton. We'll get back to the chairman in a moment. Mr. Remind some other folks that are stopping by this week, including University of Houston's Dr. Gerald Horn. He's going to join us. Also, Power Talker, Dr. Leonard Jeffries, Dr. J. They'll both be here. So if you're in Baltimore, keep your radio on right here on 1010 WOLB. If you're in the DMV, you're on FM 95.9 and AM 1450 WOL. Jim, I'll let you finish your thought. We were talking about our young people, our young brothers and sisters out there. How would just tell us how you relate to what are some of their concerns?
As I was saying earlier, it's embarrassing being oppressed. So, as a Vanguard, and maintain our love for the people. We got to be able to, even if they don't articulate it, we got to be able to, study the people. Like, someone asked at an event a while back about the Hampton House community refrigerator, and they was asking, how do we get people to be, to feel okay to come, and get food from a refrigerator that's right there open in the public, so people can see them getting food. And I said, well, hunger is a reality, and you're right. It's humbling, so we have to be, the ways that we deal with it. It's a politic to it. The way that we serve the people, we sometimes we would engage in the barbecues. The Panther Party would even use the barbecues. My grandfather's grill, my father's grill is right there in front. In front of the Hampton House, and people say, "Man, you don't plan to be barbecuing in the front yard." But it's an organizing tactic. People come by, we play certain speeches, certain music to get the people involved and supporting, because you don't want to take away, because every day we've been beat down by the 9 to 5s, by, our grandma putting our house up for, taking the second mortgage out you did, and it's constantly day to day. You don't know, who, getting murdered. Who's getting gunned down, and what type of, not to even add other dynamics such as, quarantines and lockdowns, just day-to-day situations that we have to deal with. So we have to, we have to be innovative with our types of serving, and also, maintaining the pride in the people. But just that, go to the heart of your question. Everything from the basic needs and desires of the people, just some of the concerns, whether they articulate or not, I mean, you see people out here, they may have the fancy clothes on, so on and so forth, but hunger is still a reality. Who's getting murdered, what I'm saying? And I tell you, with trauma, we try to, we mask it, or we what's the pills and the narcotics to dull the pain for a minute, but that pain is there. The pain is there, real talk.
And Jennifer, let me ask you this though: are you still a marked man in Chicago? The police is still they're still trying to intimidate you. Do they recognize you? Does your name show up when they start seeing you driving or walking around the street? Are they still watching you? Are you still under surveillance in Chicago and Maywood?
I'm gonna say Chicago first. Like I went live about a month ago. I got pulled over like 5 times in a 2-day period, and I was in the passenger seat in one situation, and they told me, asked me for my ID, and actually said, Mr. Hampton, where's your ID, So that's a constant. I want to say there's a certain in Maywood, I guess we just had it was an event yesterday. That Maywood, for all practical purposes, to my like 23 blocks, and the Hampton House. The Hampton House is a community anchor, and we've been making some leaps and bounds with just getting, the people just to even be familiar, with the work that we do here at the Hampton House. So we have, struggles here and there, what I'm saying, and we still keep our guards up. But even with the movie, we had Maywood mention, the people are our best security, what I'm saying. So I feel like I'm a marked man for life, what I'm saying, but the people, once we heighten the conscious level of the people, heighten the contradictions, that's what keeps us alive. That's what keeps it. So it's not seen as that you're paranoid, that you know what I'm saying, that it's a common conversation, and the ecosystem is able to move a lot better. Like once you clear, like who is who on this animal farm, who is who, get a clarity. Oh wait a minute, this is this, like people even driving. People say, man, yeah, you don't drive as much because they pull your father the same way a lot. So we not that we come used to it, but we acknowledge it. That kind of keeps some things at bay, because once you turn the lights on, they kind of, it keeps us alive. It keeps us our sanity. So you clear. So it's not seen as an aberration. Why I can't even just this time in general, people say, man, well, the police. I can't. The police. You say the police killed someone. People can relate to that, as opposed to years ago. What? I can't believe that. Or what did you do? You know what I'm saying? And so it's tug and pull. It's tug and pull. Saying to constantly remind people who we are. Saying stating the importance of like kind of like getting in shape. I would like to tell you, When I was at one period of time, I was locked up. I started running, get in shape, and you get comfortable. Just rest. Say, okay, no. It's an ongoing life situation of continuously reminding people who we are, because this system is Machiavellian. They'll come through and kill us with regular bullets one day, then kill us with sugar coated bullets the next day. So it's a continuous process.
Searching away from the top of the hour. Chairman Fred, do you still need help with the Hampton House?
Yes, indeed. The campaign to save and maintain Hampton House is still ongoing. You know what I'm saying? Our work, our programs are still, as I mentioned earlier, community refrigerator. I know we've been pushing to get this renovation happening. You know what I'm saying? So we still been dealing with our day to day. Just like I said, you know what I'm saying, moving with serving the people, but people can still whatever support they can, definitely. You know what I'm saying? So SaveTheHamptonHouse.org. Go on there, see how they can support. And also just the work in general, so people can hit me on Chairman Fred Jr., Chairman Fred Jr. At Gmail via PayPal, Chairman Fred Jr. at Gmail via PayPal, and also Cash App $ Save the Hampton House.
And Chairman Fred, how is this going to change? Because it's starting to get cold now. In fact, it was real cold in Chicago last week. Is the motivation to drive going to change in a way because of the weather?
I said a number of times. I said, man, because actually, I used to make a joke when I call our central committee. I'll say, can we figure out some way to bounce, like it's something that could be designated to be not chopped in Louisiana or chopped on the West Coast during this winter period? I said this. I don't know if I'm getting old, but this cold weather impacts you different. That, you know what I'm saying? And we actually supposed to be going back to Africa soon. And we're actually supposed to go back this October, but we had to delay the trip for a while. But the work going to continue. In fact, we constantly move on a political pivot. We got like the Hampton House doing what was that term? The vortex. It was the vortex. They said one of the coldest days in Chicago history. We had the Hampton House was converted to a heating center. So we gonna we gonna serve the people. You know what I'm saying? With that, like I said, just can't give out no general template. But we gonna continuously meet the. I just said not the Hampton House, but us as servants of the people in general. We gonna constantly have our ear to the ground. How we can continue to meet the basic needs and desires of the people. So we here.
That's good movement. You're letting away from the top there. Rob is joining us. He's in Baltimore. He's on line one. Rob, you're on with Chairman Fred. Is Rob there on line one?
Right on. Revolutionary appreciation, my brother. Love and respect. Real free among all that good stuff. No doubt about it. Right on.
And Fred, I think, to appeal to folks that we're the only ones that are going to help you. We're the only ones who can help ourselves. It's up to us. Obviously, other folks don't care about us or what happens to us. So I want you to keep that information again. If people want to donate to the Hampton House, or people, if they live in Chicago or Maywood, if they can help, especially with the refrigerator, because I know what you do is not just stocking the food in the refrigerator for yourselves. It's for the people, the less fortunate people who live in that neighborhood who don't have food. And then also tell us about the water, how you can help with the water for the inmates as well.
Yes, indeed. Again, SaveTheHamptonHouse.org, and there's a donate button there. Cash App $ Save the Hampton House. Also, the PayPal, Chairman Fred Jr., Chairman Fred Jr. via PayPal, Chairman Fred Jr. At Gmail via PayPal. The water campaign in particular, go to Cassandra Greer's Facebook page, Cassandra Greer, her Facebook page, or anybody can check on Justice for Nick. Again, she's the widow of Nicholas Lee, who was, for all practical purposes, denied medical care and subsequently died, or other words, murdered by the state. You know, it's in infamous Cook County Jail. So Cassandra Greer for the water campaign.
They still have those black houses in Chicago, because you were telling us about them way before.
Yes.
They made news before the police department even acknowledged that they existed. Are they still there?
Yeah, the black sites, they still exist. Yes, indeed. That's the infamous, the black sites. For those who are not familiar, where you will be taken to, no protocol, no police protocol. In other words, no lawyer. Excuse me, no phone call to your lawyer. You police with ski mask will pull up on you, just take you out somewhere. So yeah, they do still exist. Whether they acknowledge it or not, that's a different question. But yeah, they do still exist.
Now, are they in the black neighborhoods as well? Are this known for our folks who live in those neighborhoods, or are they taking them outside of Chicago?
Yeah, they was in particular the black communities, in like I said, the term black sites wasn't even attributed to them until a white individual was taken and his rights were violated. That's similar to like the opium crisis, the narcotics. It became known as the I think they call it the opium crisis after the numbers of white people were acknowledged about them. What I'm saying? As you and they came with the what is it? Well, the police were equipped with something to bring you back if you overdose or something like that. I forgot the term, Nordic or something, some equipment they were equipped with. But the black sites were known as whoopee stations when they were in the black community. And this is historical. You look at the Fuhrer of Nazi Germany, Adolf Hitler, and him and Mussolini, others were engaged in certain actions. It was known as the Africa Corps. You know what I'm saying? Don't have, then later on, you know what I'm saying, have other respective communities. It was known as, genocide. So, these black sites, again, whatever term they even used, similar to as Frederick Douglass said, did this by chattel slavery. This peculiar institution will rear its head again by some other name. So whether they call it slavery, sharecropping, prison industrial complex, it's still going on.
All right, real quickly, we got about a minute left. How can folks reach you real quickly again? One more time.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Hit us on Facebook and Fred Hampton for speaking engagements. Chairman Fred Speaks. Chairman Fred Speaks at gmail.com. You know what I'm saying? And also, whatever support you can for the work we're doing. Chairman Fred Jr. at gmail.com via PayPal.
Gotcha, Fred. We gotta check out. Thank you, Chairman Fred, for sharing all that information with us. Folks, we gotta get out here running late. Stay strong, stay positive. Please stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. right here on 1010 WOLB in Baltimore, in the DMV. We're on FM 95.9 and AM 1450. WOL, the information